I think the biggest takeaway was, we went into the Bullies' backyard, and they've been one of the best teams in our league. They bring a very physical style of football, physical style of offense, physical style of defense, kicking game, and we just kept hitting them. We brought our own physicality, our own triangle of toughness. We talk about being physical on defense. We talk about running the football as a team, and we talk about being great in special teams. That's the formula for being great, having championship football. And we brought all three of our triangles to the game, and it gave us the chance to win the game.
You have an update for us on Josh? Did he actually break his collarbone, and what's his long-term prognosis with you guys?
He did, and we'll know further today. It doesn't look good.
Okay, Greg.
Jeff, it seemed like Lorenzo Dancer made a couple of big plays in this one, including a couple of hits on the quarterback that led to some interceptions for you guys. Just what's up now about his play overall? What can you tell me about what he brought to you guys?
Yeah, he did. He really showed up. We give out our Triangle of Toughness awards each week, and Lorenzo was one of the winners this week. And his energy, his effort, he's mature. He's really bought into the culture, and I'm really pleased for him. He's overcome a lot of adversity. He's played, our will linebacker. He's played 4 technique for us, a 5 technique, and he just continues to do whatever we ask him to do, and leads for us, and couldn't be more thrilled with his performance Saturday.
What led to that positional shuffle? Was it just sort of figuring out where he fits best in the new scheme, or what did you evaluate as you went through that process?
Well, it's kind of like I told our coaches, and we didn't want to make this known to everybody, but we thought these first 4 games were going to be fall count for us. We looked at it as fall count was spring, and the first 4 games were fall count, and then we were going to play our last 8 and know who our lineup was, hopefully have our offensive line set, just know our people. So we feel like after 4 games now, then we just finished fall count, that we kind of know our roster a little bit better, Greg, and that's all it is. It's just us trying to get to know our players and them get to know us.
You mentioned some adversity that Lorenzo's overcome. Is there anything in particular that stands out?
No, just, position changes, and a lot of the guys are going through it. We get the coaching staff and us figuring it out. Just, I tell them all the time, I'm an imperfect coach, coaching imperfect players. Therefore, there's going to be imperfection. And how we handle imperfection will be determined on how our success will be this year.
Are there any other guys who, through these first few weeks, you've figured out either fit differently or belong in a different spot than you thought originally? What's been the biggest difference from your expectations coming in?
It's not so much maybe position changes. We've had a few of those too, but more of what their skill set is the best and what they do better or not as good. That's what good coaching is. Good coaching is where we, magnify their positives and we try to hide whatever they might be a little weak at. That's what good coaching is. And we're learning that a little bit every day.
Okay, Vinny, you're up.
Hey, morning, Coach. How well is Lucas Dean doing his job right now?
Oh, man, how good a football player is he? He's special. I've said that since day one, that's where I knew I was blessed. Hunter Duplessis and Lucas Dean are very good people, and they're talented, and they come to work every day. They work every day. They're extremely bought into the culture. They love the discipline. They love the off-the-field accountability. They're just 2 very bought-in players, and Coach Perry's done a fantastic job bringing those guys along. But he's a weapon, and we know that. And then I'm probably embarrassed to say this, but it's one of my favorite plays of the game when Lucas gets to go punt. I know you're not supposed to say that as a head coach, but that sucker's really good.
I mean, sometimes there's some fortune in a good bounce, but how good is he actually getting it down there to right around the 10 to pin? Because field position was totally in your favor on Saturday.
Yeah, and it's been that way pretty much the whole year. It's probably been the only weakness of our defense. That seems to be when we let up, is when we get them down there. Yeah, he's just got an unbelievable feel. He's got, the old 10,000-hour rule I speak of all the time with Malcolm Gladwell. Lucas just had so many balls off his foot. He can put proper English on it. Obviously, some of that's good fortune, but a lot of that's him just having a great touch on the ball.
And then lastly, as big as field position was at UAB, I would imagine it's going to be huge too in some ways at BYU.
It always will be. To be, every team can show up occasionally and play great, but to sustain greatness, I know you get probably tired of all my talk, but the triangle of toughness, you got to be physical on defense. You have to be able to run the football as a team, and you got to be great in special teams. It sustains. It lasts. And when I was a young coach, I was a little whippersnapper of a play caller, and I just wanted to score 60 every Saturday or Friday or Thursday, whatever night I was coaching on. And I didn't really even think about that other stuff. But as I've gotten older and just gotten wiser, it's just not sustainable. You've got to – those pillars had to be what you're about. We got to recruit to it. We got to teach it. We got to preach it. We got to coach it. And we got to live by it.
Thank you, Coach.
JJ?
Jeff, we saw Sincere McCormick bounce back for a really strong game this past week. What changed with the play, I guess, of the offensive line to allow that to happen?
Well, two things. One, Sincere, we track our players every day in practice because that's one of our biggest pillars is, can we get better today? Can we just go win the day? And let's be practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. And for the first time, Sincere outworked everybody on the team this week. He got tired of hearing you guys talk about number 4. So I appreciate you guys talking about that a lot. He got tired of that, and he went to work. Second piece, we feel like we're getting our offensive line a little more solidified. We've moved those guys around quite a bit, and that's on me as a head coach. I take responsibility for that. But we've got to get that thing where we can leave those 5 out there a little bit more together and quit moving kids around. And I've been communicating that with you guys. We're trying to figure that out, and we feel like we're closer. We feel like we're there. We need to stay healthy now.
What's your plan this week at quarterback as far as preparation for, this week's opponent?
Well, one, I don't like to tell you guys that. But 2, it depends on Frank. We'll look at him tomorrow in practice. He promises he's 100%. If I see him limping at all, he's not going to play. But if he's not limping, he will play.
And then I wanted to ask you about the play, I guess, of the defense, the guys up front specifically. It seemed like that unit's been really strong for you guys. What have those guys embodied, and what did you see out of those guys this past week?
Well, it started, we lost our leader. He wasn't even out there, big country, Jalen Haynes. That was a tremendous loss. So Coach Wright really challenged our D-line, to step up. And, boy, did they. I mean, they really showed up, Kevin Nelson always plays hard for us. Christian Clayton, Walker Beatty, one of our freshmen, got out there and played. Obviously, we've already talked about Lorenzo Dancer and his play. And I'm sure I'm overlooking, but we rotated 9 guys that played, I've already forgot about. I call him Tyrone Bigels because that's his nickname because Batterson, had just an unbelievable game as well. I always tease our guys when they miss quite a bit, for injury. I always say we got a new kid, and they've all learned now. They're going to come up with some – when I ask them who they are, they're going to give me some crazy name. So I was really, really proud of him as well. He gave unbelievable effort, and I'm sure I'm forgetting other guys. But Coach Wright did a good job of challenging them. Obviously, Coach Nix gave him a great plan, and that was where – and Trevor Harmison continues to just get better, leading we had 12 men on the field one time on a PAT field goal block, and Trevor counted them and he knew we were at 12, and he ran off the field to make sure we were at 11. And there's just some things y'all might not quite see that he's really stepping up and becoming a great leader. But you're right, JJ. Our defensive line really showed up and played hard, and I'm really proud of them.
To circle back on Jalen, was that an injury thing, or what do you think he's going to be? Is he going to be available?
It's an injury. He suffered it in the second half of Middle Tennessee, and he just wasn't quite good to go. I don't like to play limpers. We work all the kids, and we're going to try to play the ones that are healthy. If it's a hand or something, we can put a cast on. That's another story. But a kid to be limping, to me, is not safe. And I just, as a coach in my career, I just am not prepared to do that. Are there moments we might have to? Maybe if it's towards the end of the year, and all that kind of stuff. But if we have healthier kids, we're going to try to play the ones that are healthy.
Okay, Greg.
Jeff, you touched on the offensive line a little earlier, but how would you evaluate what you got out of the right tackle position, first with Josh Otis and then when Mekhi Hart came on in relief there?
Well, Mekhi was one of the top-rated offensive linemen in the country as a junior college prospect coming out of Trinity Valley. We had planned on him penciled in as a day one starter. He had a significant injury in fall camp that we tried to keep that quiet as best we possibly could, and he's just now getting healthy. But I'm very proud of Josh Otis. He's a senior that's really played hard out there, and he has really bought into the culture, shows up every day, knows his playbook. And those two guys did a more than adequate job at right tackle for us last week.
So with Mekhi, did you always see him as a right tackle? Because I think he was projected as an interior lineman by some as well. How did he kind of fit into what you wanted to do?
No, we had him projected as a day one starter at right tackle. He got injured, and Josh stepped up and did a heck of a job. And we're getting some nice little depth up there now. We've played about 8 different linemen quite a bit this year. And we're going to need all 8 of them. With COVID, injuries, just offensive line play, we're going to need that. The guy that really played an incredible game, if you want to go back and watch it, go back and watch Maka. He played an incredible ball game. He was a Triangle of Toughness Award winner on offense with Sincere. So we were extremely proud of Maka and how much better he got this week. And our whole line, we got better. It's team. We talk about team run quite a bit, Greg. Our receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks carrying out fakes. It's just going to set up a great play action pass at some point in the season. We've been at moments we've seen that. Unfortunately, for our quarterback position, we just haven't had the continuity of having a guy out there to continue getting better with our receivers. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just stating the obvious for our quarterbacks and our receivers right now.
Is Mekhi all the way back to 100%, or do you think we'll see him continue to improve as he kind of gets into the flow of things?
He's similar to Kevin Davis, in my opinion. They just got to play their way into shape right now. Both those guys are just not quite in shape. They hadn't played enough, and they'll get there. Kevin and Mekhi both will get there.
As you look ahead to next week a little bit, how much of a loss is it going to be to not have Rashad Wisdom out there for the first half? Or even how it impacted you in this game because of the targeting call?
It's a great, great question. His leadership was undeniable. I think you can feel it through the screen. It's amazing how many of my friends that don't even know Rashad, that are avid football fans that love to watch us, just always text me about how his leadership jumps through the screen. And I've said it a million times. If you knew Miss Diana and Richard, you would understand why the kid is that way. He has unbelievable respect by his teammates. It's a huge, huge loss for us. But Coach Lepp does a great job with our safeties, and we know we'll step up. And we've got Kalechi, who's playing fantastic as well, calls a turnover Saturday. Antonio Parks. We feel good about those kids. They work their tails off every day, and they'll show up. Even Shot went out there and played his tail off as well. And Coach Lepp and Coach Nix will have those guys ready.
Yeah, you mentioned Parks. He seemed to be around the ball quite a bit for you guys. Has he kind of come on through the year? How do you evaluate him specifically?
He's a high-character kid that's really bought into the program. He really has bought into the culture. And I told my team and my coaches, you don't ever really know about a team till you go on the road, and then you really don't know about a team till you lose. And we learned a lot about our team and our coaching staff because adversity brings out the best or the worst in all of us. And to be a champion, you got to be able to handle some adversity. And I was very pleased with how our kids handled it. They don't like losing. I don't either. That's really not what we're about here. We're about getting better every single day, trusting in the process, winning the day. And we believe we have enough athletes and coaching ability that if we'll just do our best every day, we're going to end up getting a whole lot more marks on the left win column than the right lose column.
What are the biggest things that stands out about about BYU overall as you look ahead to next week?
Starting with that quarterback, I mean, he's a dude now. He can really spin it. He's the best quarterback we've played. He's an NFL quarterback. He'll get drafted. I would say he's a third-round guy or less. They've got 2 NFL linemen, the center and the right guard. And you look at all of them, they're all redshirt seniors, and they're grown men. Like, they're mature and strong and just physically imposing. 2 very good receivers, and 5, and I think 18's the other one. Defensively, their D-line, all redshirt seniors, all over 300 pounds, 6'4", 6'5". They play a lot of coverage and only rush 3 and just wreak havoc with 3 guys in the run game and sacking the quarterback. Whenever you can rush 3 and stop the run and stop the pass, it could be a long day for offenses. So we've got our work cut out for us. I believe they're the 15th ranked team in the country. We're a 34-point dog. And it's opportunity or adversity. It's kind of like the entire season. And we're going to look at this as an opportunity and go up there and just figure out a way to scrap, see if we can hang in there with them, pull off the shocker.
When you talk about that level of talent and experience that they have, can your guys, gain something or take something away just from lining up across that type of player and going against them for 60 minutes?
No doubt. But sometimes, I'll give a simple analogy. If you got 135 pounds on the bench press and you're pushing it, you can probably knock off 12 or 15 of those. But you put 225 on there, you might not get about 6 of those. You put 300 on there, and Philo might can move it, and I can't. It doesn't mean my effort is not the same. It just might mean the object we're going against might be a little bit tougher, stronger. So sometimes you got to be careful about when you watch a game. If you think kids aren't trying, they might be giving perfect effort. They might be going against a player that's just better. That's what coaching is. We've got to find a way to give our kids a chance this Saturday, whatever that is, whether it's not blocking them and reading them or double teaming them or whatever that might be. We got to spend every second we can giving our kids a chance to be successful Saturday.
And we've talked a decent amount through the weeks about Sincere McCormick's workload. Do you see a non-conference game as an opportunity to try to lessen that, especially given that you don't have an open week, or do you treat it the same as all the Conference USA meetings you're going to have?
No, I know that's a great way for you guys to think and live. It's just impossible to coach that way. What are you telling your team? What is that message when you send your team that, okay, this week, man, we're going to just spread the ball to everybody and let everybody have their touches so we can try to keep you guys healthy? Well, then why go play the game? Why play? There's nothing in our culture pillar like that. We're going up there to do our very best and win the game. Football is an extremely violent sport. Now, am I going to be crazy, Greg, and try to give it to him 40 times? That's not smart either. So we're going to stick with our plan and do what we try to do and see what that does. It's a fair question to ask. It's just an impossible one to really try to pull off.
I have just a quick question, like a philosophical question sort of on in-game coaching. You guys scored, and I should have looked this up before the call, but I forgot to double check it. I guess you scored with about 10 minutes left to go down 9. And at that point, you have the option to kick the extra point or go for 2. What's sort of your philosophy on that of kicking the extra point to cut it to 8 versus going for 2 to cut it to 7 in a situation like that in the fourth quarter?
It's not even a thought. I mean, you kick the extra point and you stay at 8. I mean, then your guys have hope. They still believe. You go for 2 and you don't make it. You're down 9. I mean, my guys got common sense too. They're going, dang, now we're down 2 scores. You're just down 1 score. You guys were still locked in. I guarantee if we'd been down 9 on that last possession, some of you guys might have tuned out on me. But only being down 8, y'all were believing like I was. Y'all were like, 1 minute left. These kids might go down there and do this. You got to keep hope alive, baby. You got to keep hope alive. And I don't chase points. I'm not going to chase them. In the fourth quarter, we'll start. Some of the. It would be a different question, maybe if it wasn't a 2-score versus a 1-score, in my opinion. But I'm not into all that data and stat stuff. And I mean, it's important at times, but keeping hope alive, man. I don't know if you could feel it. If you were there on our sideline, you would have really felt we started believing right there in the fourth quarter, we're fixing to win the game. We're fixing to win it. I mean, our sideline, our momentum totally changed. And if you're not there experiencing that, those guys that keep data and stats and all these little things they do, well, they're not on the sideline. They don't feel what we're feeling as coaches on the sideline of those guys. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does make sense, but do you have to weigh that against the benefit of if you go for it and you don't get it, at least then you can play call around needing to score twice? Would that be helpful to you guys in that scenario? Or how does that?
No, because I know when I made that extra point, I know I got to have my 2-point play, which I've been working on all week, ready to go. Now, unfortunately, we probably should have used that 2-point play down there when we got stopped on the 4th down. That's the one where it was hard on me because I didn't get in from the 1 3 times. So in my mind, I'm thinking if we don't score, our defense will stop and we'll get the ball back. And they did. We got the ball back in great field position starting over again. That's the one I'm kind of beating myself up on more than anything. Is should we have used our 2-point play right there on that spot? But that one haunts me, to not be able to score from the 1 on 1st and goal. I told our kids we want to play so well the rest of the year that Coach Traylor looks back at the end of the season and goes, man, if he'd have done a better job in the red zone down there, what would our season have been? That's our goal.
What would you have wanted to do differently about those calls on the goal line now that you have a chance to look back at it?
I panicked. The very first call we made was a very good call. We should have just done it 3 more times in a row, honestly. We panicked, and it's just you had to be extraordinary at the ordinary, and we weren't Saturday in the red zone. And I'm disappointed in myself for panicking. I should have just given the ball to 3 4 times in a row on the same play. He'd have got it in there. That's on me.
All right. Anything else for Coach Traylor?
Well, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your time.
God bless.
Thanks,
Birds
Jeff.
up.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.